Elyon is a new Korean buy-to-play open-world theme park MMO from Bluehole, the same people who made Tera, and is published by Kakao Games, who are the original publishers for Black Desert Online. You will see a lot of people refer to this game as a combination of Tera and Black Desert Online, and I'd say that's a fair comparison, though it takes much more heavily from Tera and is only like BDO in a few regards. The main similarities to BDO are the RNG-based gear enhancement system and the PvE consisting of a lot of open-world grinding, as well as having a stronger PvP focus for endgame, but that's about where the similarities end. This footage was recorded during the game's first closed beta, so some things may be subject to change. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So the first main thing that people ask when it comes to new MMOs is if it's pay to win. The quick answer is it probably will be, but it's also up for debate. From the beta, we didn't have access to the full cash shop, but they did include a vendor where we could get cash shop items for in-game currency, and while they have some things like cosmetics and mounts, they also have more blatant pay-to-win items as well. Specifically, they sell huge item drop rate boosts and something called a Luminous, which provides significant stat boosts, and pets, which provide useful secondary effects. You can also combine lower tier pets and Luminous into higher tier ones, making them much more powerful. Because of this, you're strongly encouraged to buy multiple pets and Luminous to combine them into higher tiers to increase their usefulness. Not only that, but there's also a chance that fusing them will fail, meaning you lose the pets or Luminous you purchased with your hard-earned cash and get nothing in return. You're also able to buy boosts for something called Luminous Battle, which allows you to earn XP, gold, and enhancement items while AFK. This isn't the worst pay-to-win ever, but players who sink more money into the game will almost certainly have a direct advantage over those who don't. Also worth mentioning is the gear enhancement system is very similar to Black Desert in that you upgrade your gear using special stones with a significant chance to fail. It's not yet clear how the cash shop will affect this system, but there is a chance that it will be like BDO, where you can pay to increase your odds of success or reduce the penalty for failures, but we'll just have to wait and see how it is at launch. As for the combat in Elyon is actually really good. It's full action combat and reminds me a lot of the combat system of Tera, though maybe a bit slower paced. For most classes, the combat feels really fluid and impactful, though sometimes it can feel a bit awkward, as with a lot of skills they lock you into their animation. This isn't always a bad thing, but I found when playing Assassin, its main attack moves you forward slightly and locks you in animation, making it feel really clunky and awkward to play, though this may just be a playstyle preference. I will say though that the combat does feel a bit dated, and I think a lot of that has to do with the game being built on the now horribly outdated engine that is Unreal Engine 3. Don't get me wrong, the combat isn't bad by any means, especially in dungeons and in PvP, and I'd say if you liked Tera's combat, you'll probably enjoy the combat in Elyon. One thing I also really like is each class has around 40 skills to choose from, and each skill has 4 variants you can unlock using attribute points. This is a really cool system because it allows you to not only select skills you like, but then further augment all of your skills to suit your playstyle and/or the content you're running. This also adds a massive amount of build diversity, and it's really fun tinkering around with different skills and skill attributes, and since you can respec at any time, it really encourages you to mess around and find the right setup that works best for you, which really lends itself to having an insane amount of build diversity and customization. Next, I want to talk about daily gated content and dungeons. Dailies in MMOs are nothing new, and I really don't mind some less intrusive daily content, but some games, this one included, turn themselves from a fun game into a daily chore with these mechanics. In my opinion, the dungeons are some of the best content this game has to offer, and this is one area the game really shines. They all have really fun bosses and interesting mechanics and are just a blast to play through. What's frustrating though is you can only get rewards from 4 dungeons a day. This is essentially them selling you content, then requiring you to play every single day to progress, but also saying you can only enjoy it as much as they say you can. Gating dungeons into a daily system turns them from fun, challenging content into yet another daily chore you just have to check off your list, which sort of dampens the enjoyment you may otherwise have gotten playing them. Also, not only is this limit applied to dungeons, but repeatable open world quests are also locked to dailies. These quests are essentially fetch quests with a lot of simple go here and kill this objectives. These are actually not quite as boring as they sound, but you have a limit of 20 quest letters a day, and these letters are spent to acquire new quests. And if you can't complete a quest or decide to drop one to get a different quest instead, you don't recover quest letters for abandoning them. It's like you're paying for content you can only play on their terms, and it just feels awful. The only purpose of these systems is to force you to turn the game into a daily routine, and every game that does this always just ends up being overly tedious. Now, there is plenty of content in the game, so there are things to do outside of this, but I personally hate when games expect me to do an hour or two of chores every day, and I especially hate when my favorite content, such as dungeons, is gated so I can only play them a very limited amount per day. Also, fairly unimportant side note, some of these quests make you take screenshots to complete the quest. Now, I'm a screenshot junkie, I really do like taking screenshots, but really, don't force me to clog my hard drive with crappy screenshots just to complete your stupid quest. I'm not mad, you're mad, leave me alone. Anyway, on to treasure rooms. So the game has these treasure rooms where you use an item to open a door into them. They play as these really fun minigames where you have various chests to open and coins to collect while avoiding obstacles. These are seriously so much fun, and they have a good variety of them too. One will have you sneaking around trying to steal treasure from under the nose of a sleeping dragon, while another will have you grabbing coins while dodging boulders and dart traps like the Indiana Jones knockoff you always knew you could be. I don't have anything else to say about them, I just really like them and wanted to share my appreciation. The world map in Elyon is medium to large in size, though it feels larger than it is because movement speed even on mounts feels a little slow. They do have a gliding system that's pretty cool, though it feels a little tacked on. As for the art design, the world is pretty cool, but in my opinion the graphics are sort of ugly and outdated. It's not the ugliest game ever by any means, but to me it looks pretty generic, and they reused assets from Tera. Tera came out in 2012. That means they're reusing over 9-year-old assets, and they actually fit into the world seamlessly, meaning this game's visuals are on par with something that was released 9 years ago. As for PvP, the PvP in this game is pretty good. They have a variety of PvP modes, from larger scale modes like Realm Wars and Clan Wars to smaller scale 1v1 to 5v5 arenas. I didn't play a lot of PvP in my time with the game, but what I did do was pretty fun, and everyone I've talked to who played it more really liked the PvP side of things so far. I would have liked to see more of a point to it other than just fighting for fighting's sake, but it is what it is. There's also open world PvP between the two factions that, while it can be fun, I personally found frustrating, as it's not uncommon to be ganked by multiple higher level players while just trying to do quests. They don't have any system in place to punish people for doing this, so if a group of opposing faction players decides to camp out in your questing area, you're kinda screwed unless you can wrangle up some allies to fight them off. So overall, I'm probably not going to stick with this one long term. It does have some things going for it though, so if you think you might like it, it is worth giving it a try, but I just personally can't really get into it. To me, everything just feels pretty generic and bland. As it stands, it doesn't do anything new or interesting that isn't already covered better by other games, and it really just looks and feels outdated. I will say, however, if you're more PvP inclined and can get past the progression gating and potential pay to win, this may be the game for you, but for me, it's just not worth sinking my time into. That's just my opinion though, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you liked the video, remember to sacrifice that like button to the almighty YouTube god Algorithmos, as it really helps me out, and I'm gonna have a better setup for making content like this in the very near future, so expect much more content just like this very soon. Bye!